all about the details.
And it was really impressive because he brought a notebook and a pencil, and he opened it up. And, I mean, after saying hello, pleasure to meet you, I'm a big fan, I like your work. He had a list of questions. And he had thought about potential kind of structures, architecture of the novel, but he had fundamental questions about what the collaboration would be and what was I willing to collaborate with in terms of what were the rules, he said, what is not non-negotiable to be in the book. And I really appreciated that we were like straight into it. Like we were straight into kind of creating and speaking, and I answered, and then we met again. And so for me, it was just really a pleasure and satisfying because it felt like the sleeves were rolled up and he was asking the right questions. Like he just didn't want to be like, you know, yes, I'm a fan of yours, I like the comic, but can we work together and can this be? And for me, I was just hoping that he'd do it. But it was a really wonderful meeting and subsequent meeting, getting together. But that first time, I just was so impressed with just how prepared, how serious, and the insight, and what were the questions. And I really appreciated that.
I think that's something that totally comes across when you read a book or see a comic book or see a film, when everyone on the creative side of things is driving and working together and sees the same vision. So that's so cool. Keith, what was it like for you working with Keanu on his first novel?
I mean, we do a lot of collaborations in our business, and this one was like none we had ever seen before. I felt like it was an instant click. They really, I mean, the way that they worked together, you know, talking to Ben Greenberg, the editor on the project.
Shout out Ben Greenberg!
It was very much a true collaboration, and you know, Ben ran everything by both of Keanu and China throughout the process. You know, not just the manuscript and the story, obviously, but the various drafts, the cover design, the text,
the fonts,
the paper stock. Yeah, and Keanu and China saw it all and weighed in on it all throughout the entire length of the process. And I really feel like you feel that investment in the book. There's so many collaborations that have failed because one or both parties was not as interested throughout the process, but you guys were in lockstep every step of the way, and it was amazing.
Wait, I feel like there's some story about this font and the paper type.
No, just really enjoyed the process. Because China set up in the architecture of the novel follows not only present day, the character is 80,000 years old, so he's, you know, he's made a deal with the American government that he can hide with them in violence, which is canon, and was kind of one of the non-negotiables, speaking of China, and then goes into stories in the past, and he shifts in perspectives, and so we wanted each chapter or different strand, let's call it ABC, to have its own font, and it was just, how do you, and I loved those conversations, and we had this with Clemens too. It was like, well, how do you want it to feel? We had it on Lost Book of B, right? I mean, with Ramiro, it was just like, what is our relationship to emotion, and how do we read into fonts? How is language presented to us? And what does it make us feel, and how do we feel about it? And so I really like talking about that, and I really like, you know, playing with what's the font, you know? What's the font? Like, how does it feel? And how much too thin? And is it serif, non-serif? And, you know.
It's like, it's the score for the book. You know, it's
Yeah.
like it's a thing you don't know you're hearing, but you're hearing it, but visual.
Yeah.
I love it. I feel like it does bring up emotions when you see stuff and you don't necessarily know that until you're seeing different ones and you're like, this feels playful, or this makes me feel aggressive or angry or whatever it is. Sorry, what were you going to say, Ron?
I was going to say the sequel to Lost Book of B is the Lost Book of Fonts.
Right.
I mean, people do like talking about fonts, I'm not going to lie. I think people would buy that book too. So Matt, when you guys are looking to expand the universe for Berserker into different mediums, what are some of the things that you look for? Like, what was calling to make this a novel?
Yeah, well, what was important to us was to make sure that this story, if we're gonna do a novel, let's do a story that feels like it can only exist as a novel. Like that was first and foremost. And the thing that was also important to us is you don't go get China Miéville for a novel without doing something wholly original. So that was really important to us. And then the next step of it is you get two creative geniuses into a room and you watch the fireworks happen. So that was the part that was really special, was to watch two people come together who are so creatively potent and powerful, and then you see that synergy happen. And like I said, it's a charmed position to be in when we have all these creative people, even extending to our specials, all coming together and kind of harmonizing on something that I think creates something bigger than the individual parts.